The name of the woman on your screen is Otike-Odibi. On May 3rd, 2018 at around 12:04 a.m., she sent a disturbing text message to her friend. She wrote, "I have done something terrible. I couldn't take it anymore." But what exactly did she do? What couldn't she take anymore? Even though the text was disturbing, what she actually did was unimaginable. Because just before typing that message, she had just assaulted her husband with a knife and he was dead. What happened in that home that fateful night? Was this a premeditated or accidental attack? But more importantly, who was the victim of this terrible crime? This case is presumably still under investigation and has not been concluded by the court. All individuals mentioned are presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty by a court of law. Let's dive in. On May 3rd, 2018, when police officers walked into the home of Simforosa and Otike-Odibi in Lagos, Nigeria, nothing prepared them for what they found. As they walked into the master bedroom, they found Simforosa lying on the bed. He had suffered fatal wounds in the midsection. It was a very shocking sight. But as officers looked closer, they found out that he was holding on to something in his right hand. However, before the arrival of the police, Udeme had been rushed to the hospital for treatment by neighbors for what would later be described as self-inflicted wounds. Even though Simforosa appeared to have been deceased for hours, the scene of the bedroom made the police know that his final moments were disturbing. In the room, officers also found two items, a knife and a frying pan. Before we continue, let's talk about the man who lost his life. Simforosa Otike-Odibi was a 50-year-old legal practitioner from Delta State. He had a daughter from a previous marriage before marrying Udeme in October 2014. They had just been married for 3 years when this tragedy happened. It is reported that they did not have any children together. Udeme-Odibi was a 48-year-old indigene of Akwa Ibom State and was a lawyer like her husband. They both graduated from the University of Benin in Edo State, and reports suggest that they had known each other since their university days. Looks like fate brought them together after so many years and they became a couple. Life was supposed to be good for Simforosa. He was an accomplished lawyer, his daughter was studying overseas, and he was probably looking forward to her graduation. Plus, he was newly married. But things are not always as they seem because there was growing friction between the couple. Not long after the marriage, Udeme alleged that her husband was cheating on her. They quarreled a lot because of accusations of extramarital affairs. Family and friends mediated, but no one realized how dangerous the arguments would become. But let's backtrack a little and talk about the days leading up to Simforosa's murder. Udeme, who has dual British and Nigerian citizenship, was scheduled to travel to the UK for medical treatment on May 3rd, 2018. Her flight was for 5 a.m. In preparation for her trip, Udeme's close friend, Maureen Ofo, visited her on May 2nd. Both ladies attended the same university and had been friends for about 30 years. Udeme asked Maureen to come over and assist her with packing for her journey. The two ladies went for some last-minute shopping in preparation for the journey, packed travel bags, and used the opportunity to connect. Maureen then took her leave, expecting she would hear from her friend when she arrived in the UK. But around 12 a.m., while Maureen was praying, she got a text from Udeme. The timing of the message was strange, especially for someone who was scheduled to travel in a few hours. But even more strange was the text. It read, "I have done something terrible. I couldn't take it anymore." The text sent shivers down Maureen's spine. She knew of her friend's marital troubles, so she was worried. She immediately replied to the message, saying that she thought the priority was was Udeme's scheduled trip, which was just a few hours away. After all, her bags had already been packed. Maureen reminded her friend about their discussion not to take any action about her marital issues until she returned. She advised her, as she had done before, to focus on her medical treatment first, and when she returned from her trip, she could look into her marital issues with her husband and ultimately make the decision if the marriage was worth saving. But shortly after, Maureen got another text from Udeme saying that she had tried. Maureen sensed that something horrible had happened, so she started trying to call her. She tried over and over but got no response. After several tries with no response, she sent a text message to Udeme asking why she wasn't responding to calls. But there was no text message back. After many failed attempts to reach her, Maureen went to bed. It's important to state here before we go forward that Simforosa had called his mother that night, that a quarrel had started between him and his wife. This was a disturbing call because Simforosa explained to his mother that Udeme was repeatedly hitting him on the head. She was assaulting him with a frying pan and had a knife in her hand. One can only imagine how anxious and worried the old woman would have been. She was living out of state at the time of the incident, but even though the phone call was disturbing, Simforosa's mom found the silence that followed scary because after a while, her son could no longer be reached. In fear and desperation, she reached out to her daughter in Lagos. She asked her to go and check on her brother and his wife. But since the sister lived far from Simforosa and his wife, and she felt the urgency to act fast, so around 2 a.m., she called someone who could get the couple fast. His name, Stanley Grange Coco. He was Simforosa's neighbor and friend. They lived in the same estate. The worried sister asked him to go to her brother's home to find out how he was doing. Stanley acted quickly and drove to the couple's house. When he got there, he could not gain access to the compound because no one answered when he knocked on the gate. He also called out on Simforosa several times, but there was no response. Stanley then returned back to his own house since there was no way to get in. But moments later, his phone rang again. Simforosa's sister was calling back, sounding more urgent. She told him to return to the couple's house immediately because it appeared that her brother's life was at risk. But the second time, Stanley did not go alone. He went with his wife and also alerted the estate security. When they arrived at the house and got no response again, they were forced to climb over the fence to enter into the compound. Even when they got into the compound and they knocked on the front door, no one answered. They answered their repeated knocks. With growing fear, they broke down the front door to get inside. Sensing danger, Stanley ran upstairs where he noticed blood on the floor. With his heart racing, he followed the trail from the hallway into the bathroom and then toward the bedroom. The bedroom door was locked. Together with the security men, they forced it open. What they saw was unimaginable. Inside, they saw Simforosa lying lifeless on the bed. It appeared that he had been deceased for hours. He had something in his right hand which the police later confirmed was his genitals. His wife was lying beside him. She had sustained injuries, but those wounds were later determined to be self-inflicted. Shocked, Stanley ran out of the room just as his deceased sister was coming upstairs. He tried to stop her from entering, but she pushed past him and went in. Seconds later, she ran out screaming that her brother was dead. When the police were contacted and began an investigation, they recovered the suspected murder weapons, a kitchen knife and a frying pan from the master bedroom. It didn't take long before Udeme was considered the prime suspect in her husband's murder. The locked gates, the locked doors, no forced entry, and there was no one present when the crime was committed. Police investigations later revealed that alleged extramarital affairs led to rising tension in the couple's marriage. In time, family and friends became aware that the marriage was troubled. Udeme had confided in her friend Maureen and shared her frustrations and emotional struggles. Toward the end of 2017, Udeme mentioned plans to travel to the United Kingdom to Maureen, explaining that she needed time away to clear her head and regain her strength. On more than one occasion, she expressed sadness about how she felt she was being treated by her husband, and also believed that Simforosa showed little concern for her ongoing health challenges. After returning from the UK shortly before Easter of 2018, the two women met again. During that meeting, Udeme revealed that Simforosa had stopped eating at home, which led her to stop cooking for him altogether. Concerned, the witness, Maureen, asked her to continue to prepare the meals for him, even if it was only small portions. One thing is clear, their home was tense and cold. Both of them avoided each other, and there was an atmosphere of frustration. The police interrogation with Udeme revealed what happened that fateful night. During questioning, Udeme wrote a detailed confessional statement during an interactive session while in protective custody at the police hospital. She spoke freely up after identifying herself as a lawyer, explaining the events in her own words as questions were asked and recorded. In the statement, Udeme recounted her marriage to Simforosa and the marital issues they had been facing. She claimed that Simforosa was involved in extramarital affairs, and whenever the matter was raised, his responses were unsatisfactory and nonchalant. But on May 2nd, 2018, those frequent arguments led to an unbelievable tragedy. While preparing to travel to the United Kingdom, Udeme checked the bedside locker for her marriage certificate in preparation for her travel, but could not find it. She approached her husband, who lay on the bed, and asked him about it, but his response angered her. A heated argument followed, after which she went to the kitchen and returned with a frying pan and a knife. She struck Simforosa's head with the frying pan, demanding to know what he was hiding. When he called his mother to report her actions, she continued to hit him repeatedly. The confrontation escalated and she attacked him with a knife. As he lay on his back, she remained angry, sitting beside him. Then she asked, "If your privates are the ones giving you the license to have the feeling of another person, it's better we cut it off." Then she proceeded to do what she said, hanging a piece of it in his right hand. So tragic. But before we go on, why do you think Simforosa did not defend himself or call the police that night? Kindly share your thoughts. Later that night, Udeme sent a WhatsApp message to her close friend Maureen Ofo, admitting, "I have done something terrible." Further investigation revealed she sent two other messages that night. One to Simforosa's brother-in-law saying, "Just pray for us, may God forgive," and another message to her mother in Calabar apologizing and explaining that she had been involved in a fight. When the case got to court, Udeme was charged with a 2-count charge of murder and misconduct with regard to a body. In February 2019, at the Lagos High Court, Udeme asked the court to reject the confessional statement she made to the police shortly after the tragic incident. She said the statement was inadmissible because it was neither taken in her lawyer's presence nor video recorded, as according to her, as required by the law. Her request was, however, rejected by the court. There are no new updates in this case in the news. My condolences to the family and friends of Simforosa. What do you think about today's case? Do you think this was about a missing marriage certificate or something else? Kindly share your thoughts in the comment section. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.